Hi, I'm Tyrone Carroll.
I'm Madi Brand.
I'm Kiareu Grimes.
I'm Libby Chitwood.
I'm Carlie Niederkorn, and this is Legacy Tea.
Today I'll be bringing together 4 women leaders throughout history. They will be joining me for tea as we discuss each of their legacies. Hello, Matuka, daughter of Powhatan.
Oh, call me Pocahontas. It means playful girl.
Good to know. So, Pocahontas, what was it like before the settlers came in?
Well, I was a very playful child. Most of my tribe adored me, and I was the only one in my family who didn't fear my father.
Interesting. So what was it like when the settlers came in?
Well, I found out that they were coming because my brother was a warrior, and he told me stories of white men with beards who came to our land in large canoes.
So, did your siblings live with your father?
Not always. When we got to the age to go to school, we left our mothers and joined my father in his capital to learn how to become a chief.
And this is why you're a princess?
Yes, because a king is a lot like a chief.
Hello, Mrs. Barton. How do you do?
Very well, but please, just call me Clara.
Good to know. I really appreciate what you did for us in the Civil War.
Oh, please don't make me blush. I just did it for our country.
Look at you. Now, you haven't always been this confident. Tell me, what was it like? Tell me.
When I was a child, I was very timid. And whenever I met new people, it was really hard for me to even speak.
Well, if you were like that, then how could you possibly become a nurse? It takes so much communication.
Well, when I was 11 years old, my brother David fell from the roof of our barn and was badly injured. I was very terrified, but I continued to beg to help to treat him.
See, I was very young also whenever I stepped into action, so I love that we have that in common. Please tell me you didn't stop then.
Well, of course not. When I was 14, I became the nurse to many people in my village who had smallpox. Well, hello, Miss Roosevelt.
Hello, Clara. It's nice to see you.
Miss Roosevelt, may I say I think it's incredible that when your husband developed polio, you encouraged him to return to politics?
Well, he is my husband. I did what any good wife would do.
Aren't you a sweetheart? Now, I was just discussing with these 2 young ladies how they shaped their life. Do you have any of these experiences?
Well, kind of. Both of my parents died when I was very young. My mother died when I was 8, and my father died when I was 10.
How awful. You must have had a very unhappy childhood.
Yes, I did. I adored my father, despite him being an alcoholic and never around. My mother, on the other hand, liked to call me nicknames like Granny, and that really hurt my self-esteem.
That is so awful. If you don't mind me asking, how is it that you went from that to becoming such a highly opinionated women's activist?
Well, when I was 15, I went to school in England, and there, with the help of my teacher, I broke free of my shell and I formed my own opinions.
I'm sure I'm glad you did. Hello?
Hey, it's Amelia. I think I'm lost.
Well, where do you think you're at?
I think I'm in the Bermuda Triangle, but I'm not quite sure. Don't worry, I'll get there as fast as I can.
Okay, get here soon and be safe. Let's just get started.
Hey, sorry guys. Do you know how hard it is to find your way through that crazy place? I thought I'd never get out.
Well, I'm glad you're here now.
We were just discussing each of their legacies. Pocahontas, you were a peacekeeper between your tribe and the settlers. You also helped them survive the winter. Not to mention, she saved John Smith's life.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it wasn't easy.
What made it so difficult?
At some points, I was very much opposed by a lot of my tribe because we didn't understand the ways of the settlers and they didn't understand ours.
I totally understand. In my political world, many people oppose my want of women's rights.
Exactly, and there's nothing harder than going against the people you know and what you've always been taught to pursue something that you feel very passionately about.
And this is what helped create your legacy.
Well, yeah, but let's talk about Amelia. Okay, she was a pioneering aviator and an inspirational figure. She was a lecturer, author, and an airline industry vice president. She was also the first president of the 99s, which is an organization of women pilots.
Thanks, Poca. I never gave up on my dream of flying around the world.
Well, please tell us about this dream. We discussed our childhoods. Let's talk about yours.
That's all right. I was more of an odd child at my time. I was a daredevil and a tomboy than other girls at my age.
What ignited your passion for fun and adventure?
Well, my father took my family and I to the 1904 St. Louis World Fair, where I saw my first roller coaster. I went home and built my own.
And you never grew out of this passion for adventure?
No way! But Clara over here is a suffragist who organized the American Red Cross while being a nurse for our brave soldiers.
Well, like I said earlier, I just did it for our country.
Oh, come on, you had to done something for yourself.
Well, I did enjoy writing very much, and I wrote a book called The Story of My Childhood.
What was it like being nicknamed the Angel of the Battlefield?
I feel I got this nickname because I was so dedicated to help people who are risking their lives for our country.
You are so modest. What a good trait for a legacy.
Oh, please stop it. Let's talk about Eleanor. She was a very respected leader and involved in many causes, such as the Democratic Party and the social reform organizations. She was quite an active First Lady.
I think we can all agree that we're all amazing leaders.
Now, what about the column My Day that you wrote?
I really enjoyed writing that, but many people did not approve.
Why wouldn't they?
Well, they thought I was too sweet-natured and down-to-earth to be a president's wife.
I find that very surprising because some people saw you as the First Lady of the world, not just a president's wife.
Now, I want to hear about Amelia's legacy.
Well, I am best known for my solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. I used my fame to promote two causes that were dear to me: the advancement of commercial aviation and the advancement of women.
How did you include yourself with the aeronautic megastar Charles Lindbergh?
Well, someone passed on my name to George Putnam, who was looking for a woman who looked like Charles.
How did you get from being just a passenger with Charles to a big-name pilot yourself?
I didn't even get a seat on the plane. I had to sit next to the fuel tanks. But as soon as my feet hit the ground, I was the megastar of the media.
So, I also heard there was a conspiracy that you were on a spy mission for Franklin Roosevelt, who is married to Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor, tell me about that.
I don't know anything about that. That is my husband's business. But my business was convincing my husband to promote women to federal offices. Also, I held hundreds of conferences with female reporters, even when women weren't allowed in the White House.
Didn't you also serve as a U.S. delegate to the UN?
I did, and I got to see the passing and drafting of the Universal Human Declaration of Rights, which I consider one of my greatest accomplishments.
Let's talk about Clara's legacy now.
Well, see, I was involved in the Civil War in many ways. At the end of the war, I set up an office to help identify and find missing men, prisoners, and the dead and buried in unmarked graves.
What was the most difficult task you had to perform?
I can't tell you how many times I had to move my army of 1,000 to 1,500 men with just a half an hour's notice in the middle of the night.
And how did you put yourself with the American Red Cross?
Well, see, I set up the campaign to help establish an American branch of the Red Cross. After I got it established, I became its president.
I think it's very interesting that through your hard work, the other two ladies were also a part of the Red Cross.
I really loved being able to volunteer and enjoyed helping in any way that I could.
Yeah, me too. I feel that it helped me give back to those who supported me.
All these things are really good things, but I want to hear more about Pocahontas.
Okay.
You were a peacekeeper for your tribe and the settlers. Tell me about that.
Yes, well, I used the favoritism I had with my father to get him to listen to me, and then I showed him ways that we could work through our issues.
But weren't you held prisoner?
Yeah, but I was released, and then I used that as an example as to why they weren't all bad.
How was your marriage as Lady Rebecca Rolfe?
Oh, well, that helped to create the Peace of Pocahontas, which is 6 years of peace between Jamestown settlers and Powhatan's tribes.
I think we're all done here. I want to say thank you for coming with me to enjoy this last tea party as we recognize each of your legacies. Thank you all for joining us.